Welcome back to another episode of Rants and Gems. My name is Matt Garland, NMLS number 58700, better known as MG, the mortgage guy.
And I appreciate you guys tuning in to the Rants and Gems show. My name is Quiana Watson, license number 517516.
I love that.
And I am a broker owner here in the Metro Atlanta area.
Broker extraordinaire.
I'm a broker extraordinaire in the Metro Atlanta
Since
area.
we're talking extraordinaire, look, I got to point this out. Y'all see the fit right now? Yo, YouTube, y'all better enjoy this fit because, woo, you out here
I
killing
said I wasn't playing. I said
was not playing.
No, I got looks for days. I was you put me outside the first time. I saw a couple of reviews. I was like, oh man, what's wrong with her fit? Nothing wrong with the fit. What was up with her makeup? Well, nothing wrong with the makeup. He just had me out to 2 in the morning and wanted to film the next day. No big deal.
No big deal. We're going to make it happen. But look.
We in it today. We in there today.
Look, these last couple of episodes, Queen, I ain't going to hold you up.
Oh, please don't.
I got to go see the tailor.
Please don't.
I'm going to be on this
don't.
stage with you. But look, we got a special episode for you guys, man. This one is going to be special. Get a pen and pad because we got my guy, Doug Depte, here. Doug is phenomenal. If you don't follow him on Instagram, please go ahead and follow him. Everybody in the audience, go to his Instagram page right now. Go follow him because this man is dropping gems every single day, all damn day long about how to build wealth with real estate. So, Doug, appreciate you being here, my guy.
Yeah, I just want to appreciate you guys both for having me out here. I'm excited just to share this information, get them rants in as well as the gems. Let's go.
Let's go. So I got very important question for you right now. When did you fall in love with real estate?
I think I first fell in love with real estate back in 3rd grade. So like my brother was incarcerated, so he was incarcerated a place called Graterford, right? So every single Sunday, my parents would take me to Graterford. We'd take this long journey to go see my brother. I'm talking about I was putting my birthday money on his books, right? So we would go through this guard station. In 3rd grade, I was getting patted down. I think I wait for one door to close just for another door to open and see my brother wearing that jumpsuit. It was like, dang, this is crazy. But my parents wanted to break up that traumatizing negative experience. So what they do, and these was every Sunday, right? We're going to see my brother. But every Sunday is also open houses. So my parents would take me to see open houses every single Sunday. I'm talking about we would see these great mansions along the way, right? They would have fresh cookies in the oven. They would have these huge homes, and I was just like, you know what? Something just got planted in my head that one day I want to own a house, right? I want to own multiple houses. So that kind of, I think, like piqued my interest. And then I went to this phenomenal school back in middle school where it was like the super wealthy kids. I'm talking about getting limo service to school. I'm talking about getting Range Rovers when they turned 16. I'm talking about renting Allen Iverson for birthday parties. Wow. Like it was a whole nother experience. But one thing that I realized was that the parents, you know, there were doctors, there's lawyers, there's assistant coaches of the Sixers and so forth, right? But what I realized was that they had that commonality of owning real estate. Yeah. They had apartment buildings. They talk about beach houses. They talk about cabins, you know, in the Poconos, right? So that kind of started just piquing my interest. And then I started just reading different books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? I started reading Richest Man in Babylon. And that kind of just piqued my interest. And I think that's back when I was in 3rd grade, that's when my parents planted that seed of just seeing open houses every single Sunday. It was great seeing my brother. However, I really enjoyed seeing those open houses. And I think that's what piqued my interest.
That's a gem. Within the first 5 minutes of this whole episode
Absolutely.
is exposing your children.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Exposing them because you don't know what that would turn out to. So that exposure at, what you said, 3rd grade?
3rd grade.
That exposure at third grade has led you to now today over an 8-figure real estate portfolio.
Right.
Whew, that's a bar right there.
Okay.
That's a gem.
Yeah. We need to know.
We need to know how the hell you got there.
How did you get here? I mean, I know you
right.
started at least, everybody knows you start with one property at a time. You read these books. How did you start implementing your strategy to build this portfolio?
Yeah, so I think to kind of take a step back, right? So I went to University of Delaware. I have a finance degree. So I was, you know, locked in, graduated school in 3.5 years, right? But then I got a job with Bank of America. So they had this leadership rotational program that picked 5 of us out of all of University of Delaware. So the first day of work, we're going up the elevator with HR and the other 4 of my students, classmates. We get off the elevator, and there's this lady carrying this box. She's in tears. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, oh, we just had layoffs. And this lady was probably about 55, 60 years old. I'm like, well, what happened? Like, she had a mortgage. She had kids in college. They said, oh, we're just making room for the new guys, right? So this is someone getting paid 6 figures, making room for us that's getting paid $50,000. So at that moment, I said, you know what? This corporate thing is not going to be for me. There's no way that I'm going to be able to hug this cubicle till I'm 67 and a half, right? So long story short, I knew that I wanted to be in a situation where I didn't have to rely on another man to put food on my table, right? I didn't want to rely on someone else that could just pull the plug at any moment, right? So then it kind of went back to real estate. I knew that real estate was going to be a way where I can get that cash flow coming in every 30 days, right? So shortly after school, I spent 1 year, living in an apartment with my ex-girlfriend at the time. But I said, you know what? I want to own a piece of real estate. I want to own a property. So immediately we rented for 1 year, and I bought my first property. It was an FHA, so I put down that 3.5% down. And this was back when Obama was giving the $8,000 tax credit.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Good time.
What? Listen, I love taking advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. A lot of times people are asleep. They're like, oh, $8,000, it'll be around next year, right? Yeah. But it was only a short window that $8,000 was around.
I think it was only for like 2 years or something like that. Yep. They had that tax credit.
Exactly. So I found this new construction townhome in Newark, Delaware, 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath townhome, right? So I was with my girlfriend at the time. We purchased the townhome. She said, hey, I want to be on that mortgage with you. I said, all right, well, how much money are you putting up? Oh, you're not putting up anything, but you want to be on the deed of this property?
Well, then.
Hey,
slow down.
Slow down, man.
Not so fast. I mean, we've been dating for 3.5 years, but not so fast, right? So
Y'all heard that, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, right.
Listen, wait a minute. Are we together or not?
Right. You get it. So we got this 4-bedroom townhome, right? So I wake up. I say, you know what? I don't want to pay the mortgage. Like, what are you talking about? You don't want to pay the mortgage. Mortgage is about $1,300. It's $250,000 house. I had to put down $16,000. Got $8,000 back. So really at $8,000. So I said, I don't want to pay this mortgage. And she's like, well, what do you mean you don't want to pay the mortgage? I said, I don't want to pay it. She said, well, what's your idea? Like, how are we going to pay this mortgage? I'm going to rent these rooms out. There's 3 other rooms here. She said, oh, no, you're tripping. You're crazy. You don't want a lady our age living in the property, which, it's understandable, right? Yeah. You don't want a guy our age living in the property. Doesn't want a creepy old man living in this property either. And so my hands are literally tied behind my back. So I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? So I went on Craigslist, and I found this retired grandmother to live on the first floor. I had like a little suite with their own bathroom. So I found that retired grandmother for $750.
Wow.
So I'm working at Bank of America as a senior financial analyst, and people are like, yo, you're crazy. You're renting out someone else's grandmother. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, she's not your grandmother. Like, you just found her on Craigslist. Yeah. Like this guy's
wild times.
Yeah,
wild
grandma
times.
on Craigslist.
Yeah, so my name was floating around at Bank of America. Like, this guy's renting out to some grandma. So the moment I got that $750 in my palm, that's when I knew, like, this is crazy. All I'm doing is just providing somebody with a roof over their head. She didn't even use the kitchen. She had like a little microwave with a little small refrigerator. She had the hot and readies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got that $750. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. Like, I started doing the math, 750 times 12. I'm like, man, that's over, $8,000 a year just for having grandma in the basement.
And you got all your money back.
Getting all my money back, and my note's only $1,300, so she's paying $750. That's more than half of the note. So I'm like, all right. So I get another idea. So you know what? I got these 2 other rooms right across the hall. So I told my ex-girlfriend at the time, say, listen, we got to rent those other rooms out. So, oh, no, you're tripping. You're crazy. Like, there's no way I want to see strangers across the hall living in this property with us and so forth. I'm like, we just came out of college. Like, it's not that big of a deal having roommates.
It's kind of the same thing.
It's the same exact thing. Yeah, we just extending college a little bit.
Yeah.
Y'all notice he keeps saying X.
Right.
If you don't follow the vision,
for a reason.
y'all heard that.
Listen.
You said that like 10 times.
Right,
too.
right.
Yeah,
I was just being clear. Yeah, I was
She's
just being
kicking
clear.
herself right now.
Listen. So she said, no, we're not renting those rooms out. You're absolutely crazy. So I woke up another morning and I said, you know what? Do you want to be rich or do you want to be poor? She thought about it. She said, you know what? I'm okay being poor.
What?
I said, what you mean you okay
What kind of
being
mindset
poor?
is that?
She's like, my dad, he worked his way up as a manager at McDonald's. Mom's a teacher. We lived okay. We got by. We had food on the table. I'm okay being poor. So I had to go to work. I immediately got dressed. I'm driving down 95. I said, okay, being poor, this is crazy. Like, my whole mental was just messed up that whole entire day. I'm pacing back and forth to the water cooler. I'm talking to people. I talked to my brother. I'm like, yo, she said she's okay being poor. My brother like, ride that thing out, man. I got a good one. I'm like,
What? bro,
like,
what's up?
Yeah, right. I was like, all right, we're not calling you for any more advice.
Nah,
like,
no advice from bro.
I don't know
no
what type
more.
of time you on, bro.
He's done.
right. So I get back and I say, you know what? This relationship's not going to work. So I gave her a 2-week notice.
Oh.
See, hold on. Can we talk about that real quick? When you're the Lord of your land, you can actually do things like that. You can make decisions. And as he said, she's not on the deed. She wasn't on the notes. She didn't put no money in it. She get no money out.
She a tenant, basically. Yeah. So you gave her 2-week notice.
Right.
So I gave her the 2-week notice. There's a lot of crying involved. We've been together 3.5 years and so forth. But I knew that I seen way too much. I'm talking about renting out Allen Iverson. I didn't even know that was a thing. You could rent out somebody that's in the playoffs, an all-star player. You just rent them out. So I said I seen way too much. So what I did, I went back on Craigslist. I found 2 random guys in Las Vegas. This was during the whole nationalization scare. The economy was tanking. They were working at the Venetian at the time, but Delaware just opened up Delaware Park, a casino. So they had a little poker room, and these guys are poker dealers. So they moved in, and they were paying $650 each. So once that 2 weeks had expired, she's walking down the steps with her, luggage and so forth, crying. These 2 guys are coming right up with that $650.
You got $1,200 walking into the building.
Yo, $1,300.
$1,300.
Don't short me.
I got not $1, because he know he don't play.
Right.
You gotta go.
So wait. So you got your $650 coming in the door. You got
2 times.
$1,300.
$1,300 coming up the door, and you got Shorty leaving. And the same.
And Grandma's still in the basement chilling with her hot and readies.
Gotta love it, yo.
Gotta love it.
We're not done. So
Damn,
she's
it's
going
more than
out.
this?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up. But yeah, so so we're living there. I'm single in the master bedroom, soaking tub, walk-in closet, stand-up shower, balcony, all that good stuff. I say, you know what? I'm 24 years old. I don't need any of this. So what do? Move my king bed down to my 2-car garage. Oof. Right? Move the king bed down to the 2-car garage. And then we're in Delaware, so it got cold. It got very hot. I figured out how to make my own air conditioner. Damn. I figured out how to get a Sub-Zero sleeping bag with the sleeping bag, talking about with the hood where you tighten up your eyes.
Jeez.
Hop in a cocoon, negative 20 degrees.
How long did you do that for?
2.5 years.
What?
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're definitely the definition of stay down till you come up.
Stay down till you come up. That's my motto to this day.
Jeez,
Oh,
man.
wow.
Wait, 2.5 years in your garage with the sleeping bag hoodie joint.
Yeah.
That's gangster, bro.
Right.
More props to you on that one.
And this was all while working at Bank of America as a senior financial analyst. Not because I did that not because I had to, but I knew that that's what I need. That's the mindset that I needed in order to get to the next level, right? In order to really know that I'm gonna be committed to the process and being obsessed with the process. And I was obsessed with, I turned off the TV, so I wasn't watching LeBron James, play or work, I should say. Like, why would I show up, spend hours and hours and hours watching another man work? Right, when I'm not where I need to be yet. So I'm talking about I'm tapping into the audiobooks, reading, educating myself, just tapping in 100%, being obsessed with the process, being obsessed with the work to the point where, even when I go to work, I got to fishing at my job just so I can spend that extra time studying real estate, making the calls, right, calling realtors and so forth. So what I did was that extra money, because a lot of times people get the extra money, immediately they get an extra $750. What are they going to do? They're going to go spend the extra $750. Right? That's not what I did. I was still eating rice, beans, broccoli every single day, right? Every single day. So that way, all that extra money that I had, money was piling up. I put it into the stock market. Then when it was time to buy a house, pulled that money out. I bought a house, bought a property. I started to accumulate properties in a place called Coatesville, Pennsylvania, and I started using the Section 8 program. So
what's Section 8?
So Section 8, for those that don't know, so the government will actually pay people that are low income, basically at the poverty line. The government will pay these landlords, these third parties, to have these people live in their properties, right? So that government money is coming, I'm talking about during the government shutdown, during the recession, during the nationalization scare, during hail, sleet, snow, doesn't matter. That money is coming in. So once I got tapped into that, I said, oh, man, this is crazy. So he's just saying I could just buy these buildings and slap these tenants in there, and they just paying like clockwork. So my first investment property after living in this home here was a place in Coatesville where I only had to put down 10% because originally I thought that I was going to have it as my secondary house. So I put down the 10%. And then, I changed my mind. We ended up renting that property out to a government Section 8 tenant. I paid $1,250. The property was only $60,000, so 10% of $60,000, that's $6,000.
Wow.
Plus closing costs, we're talking about $9,500 out of pocket, right? So you got $1,250 coming in. My monthly note with the taxes, insurance, all that is right around $500. So now I'm getting $750 of cash flow coming in every single month. So I'm like, man, I no longer have to wait on my job to give me raises. I can get a raise by just continuing to buy these properties, right? Because there's been so many times where, especially working at Bank of America in that corporate setting, they're sitting there like, hey, Doug, we appreciate you putting in 70 hours a week in work. However, the way with the company performance and so forth, you're just a meets. So they have this whole ranking system, so they hit you with the meets, just, meet expectations. But then they don't have a bonus for you, right? There's no increase. There's no bonus. There's no 2%, 3% raise. So I use that as fuel and ammunition to say, you know what? Thank you for, basically they shorted me 30 hours every single week that I didn't get paid for because, I was on salary. Damn. So they shorted me that time, and I say, you know what? That's fine. I use that as ammunition. I use that as fuel. I said, I'm still going to be the best employee as possible, but I'm going to continue to buy these properties up because that's me giving my own raise, and that's also me getting my own freedom, right? Because after a while, once those 750 start adding up, the 600 start adding up, right? Then you start looking at yourself like, why am I still even in this 9 to 5, right? I'm more valuable out there providing people with homes, places to live, opposed to being hugged in that cubicle looking at these big numbers and so forth as a financial analyst, not really adding much value to the world.
So how important was it, though, having that financial analyst job and leveraging your W-2 to start your journey?
Oh, man, it was incredible. It was incredible. Like anyone with the W-2 income coming in, you got to use your job as your biggest investor, right? So I didn't go, dog and pony show raising money from all these people. Yeah. I said, you know what? I'm going to use this company as my number one employer, and all that money coming in, I'm going to stack it up. I'm going to live way, way, way below my means. I'm talking about to the point where I was basically saving about 80% of my take-home pay.
That's
right?
Amazing.
That's sacrifice.
That's a real sacrifice.
Yeah.
How many years were you able to sustain that and keep that up?
Yes, I worked at Bank of America for 5 years, this Japanese company in finance for 2 years, and another 2 years in sales for this Certainty, selling acoustical ceiling tiles. And then after that, I was on my own.
So 9 years W-2, and
Yep.
in that 9 years, you leveraged that W-2 to build your portfolio.
Exactly.
Shit, I didn't even drink to that one. We got to drink to Doug and that sacrifice because this man over here, oh, yeah, parental discretion is advised. I forgot to warn y'all about that, right? But we drinking wine, too. But this is amazing story so far, bro. Yeah. And too many people want to fire their job too quick.
Right.
Just because they get a couple dollars coming in from a different source and they feel like, oh, I don't need my job no more. Let me quit. And then they find themselves like in a between a rock and a hard place.
Right.
So I think it's amazing that you shared that with people because people really need to know. Look, your job is not the enemy.
Yep.
It's just your enemy.
Right.
It's what you're
That's
doing
true.
with your time and what you're doing with that job to grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I think it's very important too that people use the job to learn how a business is ran too, right? Yeah. So oftentimes people want to jump into entrepreneurship, jump into this, but they don't even know structure of business. They don't know that business starts at 9 o'clock, ends at 5, right? But having that structure, knowing how to put together emails, know how to look at P&Ls, profit and loss statements, right? Knowing how to actually run a business.
Talk to him, Doug.
Right? Because oftentimes people are like, I just want to be an entrepreneur. I just want to be chilling and just have that freedom. And your business could be failing because you don't have that structure. And even with college, I graduated college. Some people don't need college, great, but I actually got that foundation, from college and even the, middle school, high school, and just having that background. It helped me out a lot. But you necessarily don't need college and so forth, but you definitely take your job and use that experience to grow.
That's huge.
That's major. That's major. I really commend you on that. So after you stayed down, because, we want to know the story. Yeah. So you stayed down till you came up. You worked these jobs. You acquired all your properties. When you jumped out into entrepreneurship, at what point did you say, all right, I've already owned all these properties. Now I'm ready to take it to the next level? When did you decide to step into general contracting?
Yep. So there's an experience where it was right around the time I was getting started investing in Philadelphia, right? So I was watching somebody, they were doing these full gut renovations, and prior to that, I was basically buying properties that were turnkey, throw some paint on the walls, rent them out very easily, put your 20% down, right? So at this time, I said, you know what? I want to get into like a full gut renovation. So I had a contractor or a guy sell me a property, a shell in Philadelphia for $25,000.
Before you go there,
Yep,
how many
yep.
properties did you own before you went into that full gut?
Yes.
I don't know. We probably might have been, what was it? Probably about like 20 or so.
20-something
Yeah.
properties.
So that means that he has some experience.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
a lot of us want to jump out the window
You
and
wasn't a
skip
fresh.
steps.
You wasn't a freshman.
Right, I wasn't a freshman.
You
right?
became a
Yep.
live man at that point.
Right.
He was a live
He's
man.
a live man.
Exactly.
I like that. All right,
Yep.
keep it going.
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and try something new. So bought this shell in Philadelphia. The house was a wreck, complete wreck, disaster for $25,000. And I went against my morals, I guess, and I always like using leverage and so forth. But I had the cash sitting around, and the guy's like, you know what? If you have cash, let's go ahead and just do this deal cash. So we bought it for $25,000. Construction budget was $75,000. And I think the contractor basically gave me a budget just way too low because at the end of the day, it almost turned out to be new construction. So we got in this project, and they had to rip off the whole roof. They opened it up completely. This is a Philadelphia row home. So they opened up the roof, took the whole back of the house off, had to reframe it. So like the demo's going extremely fast. And I was like, oh man, they're rolling. And the contractor's like, yeah, man, they're rolling. Just, we got to keep the funds coming in so that way we can just blitz through this project. It's going to be a quick in and out job. So next thing you know, as we're rolling along, $75,000 rolled right out my hands. Slipped right through.
Rolling.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Rolling.
So we're talking about the demo, the framing. Next thing you know, $75,000 was out of my hands because it's talking good. It sounded real good. But as soon as that money left my hands, then that's when Big Tank got in the way. So it was like Big Tank. It was like, yeah, all the guys are down at Miami at Big Tank having a big party down there.
Okay.
I said, who the heck is Big
Who
Tank?
is that?
Yeah.
And what's he got to do with my project?
Yeah.
Right? So next thing you know, the Pope was in town in Philly. I said, the Pope? What's he doing in North Philadelphia in the hood? Right? So we started getting all type of excuses, and we got these excuses for 2 years.
Whoa.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
So you started a project,
Right.
use your own $25,000 cash,
Right. Plus 75.
plus
cash.
$75,000. So we it's $100,000, and now you can't find your contractors.
I mean, they're at Big Tank weekend.
Oh man. Oh no.
They had Big Tank on the big boat right in Miami.
Then the Pope came. So
And then the Pope came.
The Pope popped up. I'm like, geez.
So wait a minute. What stage of the project were they in? Was the back still out? The roof was still off?
So they had the framing done, and basically the demo was done and the framing was done, and the roof. I think the roof got done at this point as well. And then everything just came to a complete halt.
So they got their money and basically ran off.
Basically, but the contractor, like, they misbudgeted. That's what he says. He's like, oh, way underbid the job, and he eventually got it done. Right? It just took a little long.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
And I'm talking about, so at that moment I knew that I had to have control of this process. There is no way that I'm going to give somebody my hard-earned money, right, and then not have control of the process. But over that 2 years, I did learn something, a valuable lesson. I saw all the steps of construction take place in slow motion, right? In those 2 years, I'm watching, okay, we got the demo. Weeks go by. Got the framing. Weeks go by. Got the electrical. Months go by. So I started to see everything in slow motion. I'm still going to the property almost every other day. Like, yo, where you guys at? What's going on? Yeah. Yep. So I think that was the major key right there, because I got to learn construction, and then something went off. So these contractors are no smarter than me. I could put my own projects together. So that's when the valuable lesson of, you said, you know what, I have to be my own general contractor.
So what was that process like? How did you become your own GC?
Yep. So in Philadelphia, is very actually pretty simple. So you got to get something called an OSHA 30, and that's 30 hours of safety training, essentially. There's ways around it where you can get it under 30 hours, but, say 30 hours. You got to get insurance for automobile. You have to get liability insurance, and insurance only costs you about $850. Right, you fill out the paperwork, you get a business license with the city, which is free, and now have a company set up, if you will, or you can do a sole proprietor, or you can actually be a contractor in your name. So we got that paperwork set up, and it took less than a week to get that paperwork.
Wow.
So now I legally can go ahead and buy properties, fix them up myself, and then keep running the play.
So you got your GC license. So
Yep.
you're ready to go. How did you find your? So that's step one. For some people, they think the general contractor does the work. So can you let them know what the general contractor does, and then also tell them who else you had to hire to help you with your project.
Yep. So let's say you have a house, right, and the roof is leaking. So what do? You either ask a couple people, hey, do you know a roofer? Or, you go to different sites. There's Angie's List. There's HomeServe. There's different sites that you can actually tap into. Say, hey, I'm looking for a roofer in this area. You call a roofer, have them come out, give you some estimates, right? Same thing if you need plumbing done. Same thing if you need, floors done, right? So basically, as a homeowner, you're kind of like managing your own project. But as a GC, to be a GC without being an actual guy doing every single aspect of the project, you just learn the process, the steps. So let's say, for instance, row home in North Philadelphia or wherever you are, there might have to be some demolition taking place, some interior demo, where you're either removing just the trash out the property, or you're taking the old walls off and exposing the sheetrock. So you have the demo done, you have the roof done, right? Because you want to protect your investment, make sure the roof is good, so that way as you're going to be fixing up that property, you want to make sure no water damage takes place, right? The next thing you're going to do are your rough. It's called rough mechanicals. So like your electrical is going to get done. So you're running all your electrical wires, you're running your plumbing wires, you're running your HVAC, so that your heating and cooling system, you're running all that in, right? And then after that gets inspected, you're going to do insulation, making sure that the walls are insulated from the outdoor elements, making sure that way the house is not just freezing cold or extremely hot. Run your insulation, you're going to do your sheetrock. The next thing you're going to start doing your finishes, right? So you're going to start doing your finished plumbing, so you're putting your fixtures in, your electrical outlets, your lights, the LED lights and so forth, your HVAC units in, plus the vents. Then you're going to start putting your flooring, your painting, and then you're basically walking down the steps of a project. But it's not very hard once you have the steps. But the key is you're going to need a team. So you could, like for instance, I've done basically every aspect of putting a house together. And I've even got in there and done every single thing in the house. But what I realized was that I'm more valuable picking up properties and having other people put them together, right? That's the way I can do, instead of just one project over months and months and months, I could do 5, 6 projects at a time, and all I'm doing is just going through my steps, calling the people that I need to call to get the job done. And I always recommend having 3 of everything.
Okay.
So like, for instance, 3 roofers, 3 demo guys, 3 electricians, 3 plumbers, 3 HVAC guys, 3 flooring guys, 3 framers, 3 guys that do finish work, so the finished carpentry, installing the doors, the baseboards, the trim, right? So now what happens is you get estimates from these guys, so that way you're keeping everyone honest, you're keeping them, know what the price point is. And another way, especially for new people, one way that you can actually tell like what things cost, there's something called homeserve.com, right, where you can actually go in, type in your zip code of where the property is located, right? Type in the zip code, and then you can type in, hey, I'm getting electric work done. And it'll tell you, okay, this is the cost, this is the going rate for that project. Here's the low estimate. Here's
And
the
that
high
works
estimate.
nationwide?
Nationwide, right?
That's a gem.
That's
Yep.
a gem.
That's a gem.
Yeah.
What's
That's
the
a
website?
major
What's the website?
It is homeserve.com, I believe.
Homeserve.com, y'all. Make sure y'all write that down. Put that in the comments if you watch this on the video.
Yep.
So you got to have 3 of everything,
Yep.
right? How do you hire these people? What are the questions are you asking? If
Yep.
you're a newbie, how do you
Yeah.
know you have the right 3 people?
Yep.
Right.
So, no, that's a great question. So one thing I always recommend is join communities of other investors. So that's probably where you're going to get your best referrals from. Like, for instance, I have a community that we all work with, and they say, hey, I'm looking for a roofer. Who do you guys recommend? So it's always good to get recommendations. Another great place is like Angie's List, where you're going in and say, hey, I need a roofer, electrician, and you're looking at the ratings, looking at the customer reviews. You're searching on Google if they have any bad remarks and so forth. So that's one way. And then another way that I like is I'll drive around, say, where a lot of construction's going on. Yeah. So it's like I could build a whole team wherever I'm at in a matter of a half a day, right? So you driving around, you're seeing construction taking place. A lot of times these guys, it's a dead giveaway. They have vans. They have, hey, I do heating and cooling. I do electric. I do framing, right? And all you got to do is hop out and talk to them. Hey, do you guys do framing? Are you guys looking for extra work, right? How long you guys been doing this? Any way I can see your active construction project. And a lot of times if they're right there on site, they're going to walk you through.
Yeah, that's a gem right there.
Yeah.
That's
we
a
want
major
we want the
gem.
receipts.
We want the receipts.
Don't tell me you good. Show me you good.
Exactly. Show me. anyone can get pictures and show you, oh yeah, this is my framing job, and they could have just been a guy just walking through taking
Got
pictures
that from Google.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you want to get references as well. So references are huge. So at least 3 references. So now you're getting the receipts, making sure that they are who they say they are, right? And you can actually, again, get their license number if they have a license. We'll make sure they're licensed and insured. Plug their information in, see what comes back. But biggest thing is getting the references, looking at their work, multiple projects, if they have active sites. And if you're going into one of their active sites, you might not know anything about plumbing, but you'll know if the job site looks clean. You'll know if things look in order. You can kind of tell something that's sloppy versus something that's not, right, with just the naked eye. But it's very, very important to do the vetting of these contractors and getting those referrals because they can make or break you, right? So oftentimes, yeah.
So I hear you saying, basically, you're doing your due diligence. You're not rushing into a project. You're getting the project, but you're making sure that you hire the right people. Yep. Of course, where you are now, you have a list. But when you think back to when you didn't have a list and you had none of these references, like tell us, because everybody wants to, we said, we've seen some flips and we've seen some flops, right?
Yeah.
And we want to talk about that so that way people can at least learn from a mistake or two that you've made so they can take a step back and walk into this process and not run.
Yep. So like for instance, one mistake was going with the cheapest guy. Like this guy was a handyman, and I had a backed up sewer line. So the sewer line was backed up. I went to this handyman and said, "Hey, can you handle a backup sewer?" "Oh yeah, no problem. I can take care of it." So he dug this big hole about 8 feet deep, tapped into the sewer line. He got it open. Right now, the tenants is using the bathroom, flushing toilets. So the whole backyard ended up being a whole pool, basically a cesspool of just raw sewage in the backyard. So I'm like, what's going on here? And he's, "Oh, no, don't worry. We're going to take care of it. We're going to take care of it. Going to take care of it." City condemned the house. I had to put my tenants up in a hotel for days and days and days, and just to realize that, this is not the guy for the job.
So the cost you thought you were saving,
right,
you wound up paying in the hotel.
Right,
all types
paying
of
in the hotel, all type of foolishness. And I went to the city like, "Hey, listen, do you guys have any recommendations of a plumber that can actually get this job done?" And they said, "We typically don't give recommendations, but for you, we'll give a recommendation." They gave a recommendation, paid the guy what he wanted, and he got the job done in less than 24 hours. Whereas this guy kept giving me the whole runaround. So one of the things that you want to look out for is, does that subcontractor show up on time, right? Do they meet their deadlines? Because if the contractor's coming in late and start giving you excuses from the beginning, that's not the contractor for you, right? So be slow to hire, fast to fire, right? So if they're showing up late, not making deliverables, not making time frames, you have to let them go or find some alternative of a contractor.
That's a whole gem.
Yeah.
That's a big gem.
That's a whole gem. So you started at property number 20 to become a GC. How many properties do you have right now?
I don't even know. I like to count. And the reason why I don't really like to count, because I'm a basketball player, right? So I go back to, imagine if you're playing a game of basketball and after every single point you're running to the scoreboard like, "Oh, how many properties is that? How many properties is that?" Because once you start counting, you start to get complacent, right? Because numbers start putting limits on people. So I just know I just got to keep going, and I don't have enough.
But you becoming a GC and now managing your projects, how did that help you scale now?
Oh, yeah. So one way is I get paid to be my own GC, right? So I'll kind of break that down for you. So let's say, for instance, we have a project. Like, for instance, one project that's on the top of my mind is this triplex right on Temple University's campus. I picked it up for $26,500, right? I put together a construction budget for $325,000, okay? And I used a hard money lender to do this project. So with the hard money lender, they want basically 10% down for the purchase, and then they'll give you 90% of the rest of the purchase plus 100% of the construction. But remember, the construction is $325,000. But with me being my own contractor, I'm gonna be able to get the work done for about $175,000, right? And they're okay with giving that $325,000 because that's what a contractor would charge in a situation like this, right? However, as we're going through that project, I'm going to be putting that extra in my pocket. So I don't have my calculator on, but 325 minus 175.
That's like what, $150?
$150.
$150K. So
Right.
$150K basically profit.
Profit.
To you, now you can go use that money to go get another project.
Right.
And that's because you're a general contractor.
And that's because I'm a general contractor.
OPM.
Right. OPM, other people's money. So now we use those funds to continue to grow and pick up more assets, right? And it's all we're doing is, I get the plans, send my team out there, and they put the play together while I'm collecting, and then everyone's getting paid fair and handsomely. But it's just knowing how to price things out. And my lender, works from day. Lender actually prefers that I am my own general contractor because their main goal is to get the bag back. Yeah, so if I'm bringing them that bag back after every single project, they're gonna keep rocking with me. Anything you want, Doug.
Fashion.
Right, in a timely fashion.
They're gonna love you.
Exactly. So when I look at the numbers, right, as a general contract, let's say for instance, I'm building right around $50 a square foot. Most contractors in my market are charging about $85 a square foot, right? So I told my lender anytime I'm analyzing a deal, analyzing a project, I'm putting it in as $85 a square foot. So if the numbers work at that $85 a square foot number, then I'm good to go because I know that I'm gonna make about $35 a square foot on that project. So let's just break it down very simple. We got 1,000 square foot property, and $85 a square foot is what general contractors are charging. That's $85,000 for that project. However, I'm getting that project done for $50 a square foot, so that's $50,000. So for that one project, that's putting $35,000 in my pocket just for a small single family property. So yeah.
On
top of
the cash flow.
The cash flow.
On top of the cash flow, on top of when I take that property to the bank and do a cash out refi at 75%, I'm getting about 10 points back in my pocket. Sure. Because I run my numbers at that 65% rule.
Okay, you got to talk about the 65% rule.
This is a whole lot of game.
Everybody doesn't know it.
This is a whole lot.
Right,
I'm about to be
right.
GC now.
I want to make sure that we're talking from
I don't know about y'all.
No, we got to go back to episode 2. We're talking from an investor standpoint.
Right.
A true investor standpoint.
This ain't
here.
FHA, guys.
This ain't that.
This ain't that.
Give us
ain't
some
at 2
more.
or 3K.
Yeah. So every time I analyze, let's just take a step back. The most important thing is to analyze a deal correctly, right? Oftentimes people are like, I just want to get in the real estate. I just want to buy something. But do the numbers make sense? At the end of the day, it's down to the numbers. Do the numbers make sense? Does it cash flow? Are you buying a good deal? Most people don't even know if they have a good deal or a bad deal, right? They just know, I own some piece of real estate. It could be negative cash flow, bad deal, right? So I take pride in using that 65% rule. So just to kind of break it down for those that are following, let's think of a geometric equation, right? 0.65, you can write it down, 0.65 times ARV, the after repair value, equals purchase plus construction, right? I know it might seem like a foreign language right now to some, but 0.65 times the ARV equals purchase plus construction. So what we mean by that is, let's say we got a property worth $100,000, right? So 0.65 times $100,000, that's $65,000. So what that means is the purchase and the construction have to add up to be $65,000. So I need to be at 65% of the ARV. Correct. So let's say, for instance, if we know that our construction is $40,000, right, and we got this property worth $100,000, that means our purchase price cannot exceed $25,000, right? Because 25 plus the 40 equals 65. So that's how I'm analyzing every single deal. And the reason why I analyze the deals that way, right, is because, so we're all in that 65%. So now on the back end, once that project is done, is rented out, got the cash flow coming in every 30 days, then I refinance that property at 75% of that value.
Taking 10% in your pocket.
Right, and there'll be fees and so forth, but high level, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep. So now on that same property worth $100,000, I'll take on a mortgage at 75% of that, which is $75,000, right? So that minus the 65%, that's $65,000. I'll pay back the original lender, and if I had to put some of my capital up, then I would get that capital back and then some.
Gems.
Yep. So now you're just able to just continue to recycle those funds over and over and over again, because initially when I was first buying properties, I was leaving 20% in those deals because they were basically ready to go, turnkey. Just had to throw some paint on.
You wanted income.
Right. I wanted income.
That was your goal. Just to get that
and the
find
return
your job.
Exactly. And the return was great. We're talking about 60, 70% return on my money, cash on cash return on my money.
That's huge.
However, once I started using this strategy, I'm like, it's an infinite return, because I don't have any capital actually in these buildings of my own, right? But even at refinancing at 75%, there's still 25% equity in these buildings.
Right.
Love this.
That's
super
major.
gems. Super gems.
So how are you finding your deals? I think everybody is like, okay, now we kind of figured out, okay, we know the formula. We know we got to stay down till we come up.
Right.
But now,
Very
you know,
important.
from a realtor standpoint, you know, we know inventory is low. So how are you finding your deals, and what tips and strategies can you give us
Especially
to
in
find
this
some deals,
crazy
especially in
seller's
this
market
market?
that we're in right now.
Yeah. So
Because you're buying every day.
Every single day, I
mean,
follow.
not
Every time I
every-
look
yeah,
at your
right?
page,
No,
it's
every
another
day.
closing.
Every day I see you.
always be closing. ABC. So one of my advantages is that I wake up extremely early. So I'm up at 4:30 every single morning, right? So I'm up early. I'm looking at sites like Craigslist. You know, every day I'm looking at Craigslist, and I have my alerts set. I put the word package in there, framing. I put the keywords like ARV, fixer-upper. So I'm getting these emails every single day. I'm looking on Craigslist every day. I have a whole laundry list of wholesalers that I'm tapping into. So I message them, hey, I'm looking for a deal. What do you guys have, right? So they're constantly sending me deals, and they know that I'm a serious buyer. And I put it out there that, hey, I'm looking for deals. So anybody that has a deal, send them my way, right? So we're using social media heavy, using Craigslist. We're tapping into realtors as well.
Wholesalers also?
Wholesalers, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Definitely
definitely
wholesalers.
gotta have some wholesalers.
And I'm okay with wholesalers making money, because at the end of the day, I'm doing my analysis. If I can make money on the deal and the wholesaler makes $10,000 off the deal, $30,000, it doesn't matter as long as my numbers are ran correctly and that it works as a deal for me, right?
That's a major gem. You know, he keeping his eyes on his own paper. I think we need to make sure we start doing that.
Stop
because
counting other people's money.
You counting other
Right.
people's money, and in a lot of times, especially in real estate, is the most pay to play business I have ever been in my
Facts.
life.
Yep.
So the fact that you even understand that, listen, everybody got to eat.
Everybody.
got to eat, baby,
Yep.
including
Yeah.
the bank.
Yep.
Right.
We want our money.
Right. So yeah, it's and also just networking, right? So all the guys that do work for me, I let them know, hey, I'm looking for properties. I'll give you $1,000 bonus if you bring a property and I close on, or a $2,000 bonus. It doesn't matter, because if they bring me a good deal and I can make $30,000 as a GC plus a cash flow of $700 every single month and own the property, I'm fine with that, right? So it's just networking, thinking outside the box. And of course, you could drive around and you can look at properties that are abandoned, find out who the owner is, and get in contact with them.
That's huge. I don't think y'all caught that. 30,000 as a GC plus, right? Plus. So you eating every which way you can.
You got to. You got to.
Every single way.
Always
every
be
single
eating.
way.
Yeah.
Always be eating.
Yeah.
I like
Outside of always be closing.
I like
Right.
that. So
me-
go ahead.
I think my question is, because people, you know, understand like a GC. So in my thoughts, a GC is like, okay, I'm the head person in charge, but I hire everyone else to do the job, and I have to oversee it. So, you know, but at the end of the day, insurance is responsibility. Who is responsible? I'm the head, but I hired a roofer, electrician, flooring person. You went in this person's house, you messed up the floors. Who do they come back to? Let's talk about the liabilities of being a GC and why it's very important for them to have the right team.
Right. So you're talking about as if I'm general contractor for other people or for my projects?
Both.
Okay. So for about a year, I did some GCing for other people. Like I did a church. I was able to profit about $50,000 off the church. You know,
God
it
bless.
was in
God
there. It
bless
was
you.
off,
God bless
it
you.
was off
God
an
bless.
insurance job.
God bless.
We did a triplex, significant amount of money off of there. But it's definitely important to have insurance. So being a general contractor, you do take on that liability. However, as you're hiring subcontractors, you want to make sure that they have their insurance as well, right? So that way, if there's a plumbing issue, make sure that plumber has insurance. So if a plumbing issue happens, that their insurance would be the ones that cover that. And of course, as you're buying and fixing up these properties, you have to get builder's risk insurance. Naturally, if you're using a hard money loan, builder's risk is going to require the hard money loans are going to require a builder's risk insurance. Those insurance policies usually double what it is to just have a standard home ready to go.
Yeah. So you as a GC, and that was good gems too. I had to get that policy right now for a deal. But as a GC, with these rising costs of labor, materials, excuse me, lumber, everything's up, right? How are you saving money and still making this type of profit? How are you doing this? How are you finding the deals? Because that's what we really want to know.
Yeah, the people
Yeah.
want to know, and I got a
Because-
follow-up question to
Because
that, but I'm going to let you answer that
lumber
one.
prices is crazy right now.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. The lumber price is going crazy. It's definitely tightening up, putting a constraint on margins for sure. So one way is I'm calling lumber yards. I'm seeing what lumber they have for sale. But I'm even looking at the lumber that might not be in the best of shape. Like, for instance, I just caught a deal. I bought 300 pieces of 2x4x10 for $5. Right? They're actually pretty straight, but they just didn't look the best. They're a little ugly. But I bought the whole skid, and I said, "Hey, what else do you have?" So he has 2 more skids. He actually gave me a call. 2 more skids, 300 pieces each. So I'm gonna buy everything, right? So it's just calling around, asking for deals. And one of the big ways that I save money, even you were dealing with GCs, anywhere, I'm always asking the question: is that the best you can do? Right. So is
Closed
that
mouth don't get fed.
closed mouths don't get
Okay.
fed? But when you ask that question, you gotta make sure you pause after that. You don't say anything else. Right. So if you say, "Is that
Ooh,
best
that's
you can do?"
negotiation 101. I'm a
Right.
hustler, baby. I just want you to know.
Yep.
Okay.
So times are tough. There's a lot of competition out there, but everybody can bring the price down, right? And you got to get those estimates. So by having those estimates, you're basically having those folks competing against the job to get your business, right? But you also have to let them know. You have to not just say, "Hey, you're not going to make $1 million off of this one job," right? We're in this for the long haul. You got to give everyone that works for you the vision. Like, hey, this one project is not going to be it. We're here. We're going to do 5 projects a year, maybe 10 projects a year, right? So wouldn't you rather have that consistent work where I'm bringing you a project every single month and you're getting paid handsomely, opposed to just trying to make all your money and then I have to go find somebody else because you try to take my head off? But so it's just knowing how to play the game.
Man, that's dope.
Well, I got to ask a question.
Yeah.
I got to ask a question. Now, you guys know I'm the realtor on here, broker owner. So, a lot of my agents, a lot of other agents, and I'm speaking to you guys, even some consumers, they're in the middle of contract. And I just knew it wasn't going to happen to me, but it has happened to me twice. Builders in the middle of contract, some of them have it in their paperwork, so they have a legal right, are raising prices $30,000, $40,000, saying because the cost of lumber is so high. So, for example, I have a deal, so I think it was like $600,000. They're like, "I'm sorry, if you want us to continue with this deal, the new price now is $640,000 because the cost of lumber is so high." Now, we're researching. We see they say lumber's up 250%, all this and all that. What the people really want to know is this BS? Can they really? I know they can legally raise the price because, again, it's the contract. But are they exaggerating on the cost to build right now? Because you're building.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Look, say for instance, before the lumber spiked, right? You can get a 2x4x10 for right around $5.40. Right now, depending on the market, it's going for about $13.50, $14 for that same piece of lumber.
Wow.
So if you multiply, say the average house, depending on the size and so forth, let's say 1,000 square foot property, you might need 400 pieces of lumber. So you could do 400 times, say $5.50. Then you could do 400 times, $14. That's a substantial increase.
Oh, okay then. Listen, I'm just speaking for the people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then. It sounds like the prices are up.
Yeah,
It's up and it's stuck.
Up and it's stuck.
Let's cheers to that. That's the thing.
So right,
It's
so
up
right,
and it's
Gotta get a
stuck.
chance to that. It's up and it's stuck.
It's up and it's stuck again.
so right now, I'm talking to a lumber yard out in Maine, where they actually have the actual wood, and they'll cut the lumber that you need. So basically, cutting out the middleman. I just got to figure out how to ship it down to where I need. So I'm trying to get the.
We got to talk off record on that one.
Truckers,
We
truck
ain't gonna-
drivers.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that one off record. We want the connects, too. We can't tell y'all everything, though. We can't blow it up. I'm sorry. But that's going to be on record. So what the hell I was going to ask you? It was something I was going to ask you. Oh, prices is up. Lumber is up.
Yep.
What do you think about the real estate market? Is it going to crash?
Hey, that's a great question. But I feel that people still need homes. I don't see it being like a crash back in 2008, 2010, where I was picking up a lot of foreclosures and so forth. I think it's going to be, with interest rate low, it might be a correction. Okay. But I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did.
And let me piggyback off that
Yeah.
because I know you're using a lot of affordable housing. That is the proper term. The proper term outside of Section 8 is called affordable housing, you guys, all right? I know you have a lot of homes with affordable housing, but if you have some homes that are not on that, how is the moratorium affecting you? Because we always talk about glorifying being the landlord, being the lord of your land, but what is happening to people that they have 1 or 2 properties, and now their tenants are not paying rent, and they're not in the position to pay their current mortgage at their house, plus pay the mortgage at 2 other homes without receiving a passive income. Yeah. Has it affected you at all? And what advice do you have for people jumping out here to invest.
Yep.
Because I believe in it, but I also believe you want to be smart.
Yep, for sure. So, for instance, we did have one tenant. She was back on her rent. So I basically gave her cash for keys. Because I knew that property is more valuable having her out the property than getting it back on the rent roll. So, for instance, I'll give you this story. She was back on her rent. So I said, all right, let's work out a deal. I'll pay your moving expenses, and I'll give you your security deposit back. But you just have to get out the house in 15 days. So she said, okay, no problem. She said, you'll pay my moving expenses? I said, yo, I'll pay your moving expenses. And I always thought she was just going to go, like, move to the other section of Philadelphia, right? She said, no, I'm coming down to Atlanta. I told her, hold on, wait a minute.
Make sure you tell me her name.
So we wanted her out of the property, so I adjusted the moving amount a little bit more, and she agreed to it. And I said, you'll get your cash, right when the moving truck is there, fully loaded, and we got her out. So I just gave her the cash for keys, and then we got the
being
property back on the
creative,
rent roll.
basically.
Right,
You got to be creative
You
if you
have
got
to.
tenants.
Yep.
Because, look, the moratorium is about to be over.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Hopefully.
month.
I mean,
Hopefully.
it's such a sticky place. It's
is.
such a sticky thing.
Yeah.
It's like, hopefully it's
But
over.
it needs to be over.
It's such a sticky place.
No, it needs to be over.
I'll say
it needs to be
this.
over. Landlords are suffering.
Landlords are suffering. I think that
People are
we're forgetting
suffering
that
too.
landlords are people too.
Yeah.
And they think that every landlord is they don't have a 6-figure, 8-figure portfolio. Some people just got that one extra house, and they can't afford to carry both. So everybody is suffering. So I was interested to hear that from your perspective. This also happened to me recently. Shout out to EYL. Got a referral from EYL, but the guy's out. He's out in Cali. Got a house here. The issue with cash for keys is the person he actually is leasing to no longer lives in the property. They sublease to another person.
Wow.
And so now you can't really track that person down. It's like, you don't even know my real name.
Damn.
You don't have none of my information, so I don't need your cash. I'm staying here.
Wow.
And
Squatters.
here we are.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
Waiting for a moratorium. I'm not trying to scare you guys about investing, but I, as an agent, as a realtor, I get so many calls from people that are in over their heads. You have to make smart decisions. Join groups. Make sure you make smart decisions. You just can't. Investing is not something you just want to jump into head first, because you could really hurt yourself.
Absolutely. I agree. But the moratorium needs to be over.
I agree. If we're looking out
does.
for landlords, we're looking out for people that have made the decision to invest in real estate and say, listen, I'm going to build generational wealth. It's not fair to hold them back because nobody's helping them. And everybody deserves some help, not just people that are renting, but what about the landlords that have also been displaced from their positions at their
Absolutely.
jobs, been demoted, and now they have to carry two mortgages.
They had to deplete savings.
It's not right.
It's not right. It's not fair. At some point, we have to restart the world
I'm
again.
so glad MGB and the bad got a day, baby.
Oh, they're going to get me in the comments. They're going to get me in the comments. But it is what it is. But, look, you can't keep kicking it down the road. It's just going to make it ugly and ugly and uglier. You know what I'm saying? So, at some point, you gotta let evictions start happening again. You gotta let foreclosure. It's the cycle. It's part of real estate.
Yeah.
I agree.
Unfortunately, it's the unfortunate part about real estate. And I don't wish nobody to be homeless, but it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I like about you is I asked you up front. I said, are you nationwide? Because a lot of people are like, oh, that's only Atlanta. That's only New York. That's only Delaware. And you're like, no, I'm pretty much everywhere. So let's talk to people about how your principles apply to pretty much every state, because I know you have a big, awesome, amazing investment group. I'll follow you. I'll be like, oh, man, my head is spinning.
Right.
One more job for Quiana. But go ahead, though. Tell people about how this works nationwide and how you're able to assist other people in building generational wealth.
No, for sure. So, for instance, I have a mentorship where I'm training other people just, my principles and how to go about getting their next investment property or even their first investment property or even just scaling up, right? So there's people in Hawaii, there's Texas, there's California, there's, Maine, all throughout the country investing in real estate. But what it comes down to is just being able to have that experience of how to analyze these deals appropriately, right? How to find these deals. And there's a deal everywhere, right? Even when people say, oh, the prices are too high, right? Just go outside of that radius and find a deal, right? So you just have to be willing to put in the work, right? So the information is out there. And I'm just happy that people are able to take the information and execute on the information. That's why the program is called the Acquisition and Execution
Say it again.
Program. It's called the Acquisition and Execution Program.
I love that. execution, most importantly.
That's
That's
most
the most
important.
important.
You
I think
execute.
EYL says, what does it say? Education on us, execution on you.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
is
that,
a goddamn
that sound like
fact.
Rashad.
That-
I know it's him.
no, that's actually a Troy bar.
That's a Troy. That's a Troy bar. Let me give Troy his flowers.
Yeah, that's a
Yep,
Troy
yep,
bar.
sure.
But it's the truth, though. We can
Yeah.
educate you. We can lead the horse to water. You can't make him drink.
Right.
You know, you can listen to and watch Rants and Gems. You can come to your programs, but you got to go execute at the end of the day. You got to get the hell off the couch, get off the phone, get off the YouTube, get off of whatever you're doing, and actually go out there and put some action in place and execute, because experience is always going to be your best teacher.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day. So look, we're about to wrap this thing up, man. This has been a phenomenal conversation so
It
far.
is.
But let's end it with our.
We have some questions. We gotta
we
ask
gotta-
we gotta answer
Okay,
some questions.
before we wrap up, we got a
We
question.
gotta answer some questions. I
Okay.
said we need 2 people. I'm looking. Where y'all at? All right, there we go.
So there we go.
Peace, brother. It's Arthur Andrews again from Connecticut. Question I had for you, we're talking about the lumber prices and them being so high. I actually have a friend down in Florida who just did a new construction, and he used like metal framing. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. One of the
question.
things that he said was that, given that lumber is so high now, the price differential between the two isn't as large, obviously. However, that it lasts longer. That being said, I'm not a contractor, I'm not a builder. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the viability of that, and if you think that's a viable option for those who are looking for other alternatives to lumber. Because even though the lumber prices, even though it's still a little cheaper, sometimes you can't even get the lumber that you want, even if you're willing to pay up. So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. So with steel framing or metal framing, you're going to be able to save a couple dollars, and a couple dollars definitely adds up as you're getting, do your stud count. And typically with the steel, it's for the non-structural or the partition walls. However, you have to do a lot of structural framing. Wood's going to be your best bet for residential, unless you start getting into the actual steel like structure, and that price is very, very expensive when you compare it to a 2x6 or a 2x4. Structural. Yep.
Great question.
That's a
Definitely
wonderful
save a lot of
question.
money.
Yeah, great question. We got one more question.
Hey, my name is Vincent Grimes. I currently have one rental property, but I want to expand and get more. It's a Section 8 property here in Georgia, and I was thinking about, I own the property free and clear, and I was thinking about doing a HELOC or get a FHA 203K, so I can start looking at trying to do like tax liens, try to find some tax liens that I can get and expand it that way. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. So the 203K, that's going to be for your primary residence, right? So you're not going to use the 203K for, say, an investment property unless you're living in one of the units.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's what I
Okay,
was going
yeah,
to
yeah.
correct you on that. Like, no, you got to live there.
No, but if you own a property free and clear, one of the suggestions that I would do is I would basically refinance that property, pull some equity out, then use that equity, of course, to invest in. So you might take on an interest rate of, say, 4.5%. Right now, actually, they're as low as even lower than 4% for investment loans, where there's basically no docs, no tax returns. There's looking at the rents that are coming in, looking at the value of the property, and they'll go up to about 75%. Some will go up to 80%, but I typically go up to 75%.
Okay.
So you can tap into those funds. And then if you feel confident that you can make more than 4.5% or even greater, then I would go ahead and put that into investments and learn the strategies and so forth, because you can really take those funds from that property and you can just keep recycling those funds over and over again. Every time you do full recycle, you're basically spitting out another asset that's cash flowing. You get a little more money on top, and you keep just running that money through the same cycle, basically
Okay.
just washing the money essentially.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely do so. I just want to tell you, tax sales in Georgia are a little different. You got to hold the property for 13 months, okay?
Okay.
12 months and plus 1 month.
Okay.
So you can't really do anything with it. So it's an investment. And if you can't do anything with it, you also get a high percentage if they end up paying the taxes. I've purchased tax sales, the new construction project I just finished and we just sold, we started off as a tax sale. We bought it because everything was connected. It was like an old trailer, but we knew we didn't have to do plumbing. We didn't have to do all the roughing. So I say that to say, you got to go with cash. So get your HELOC, get your cash out, attend some tax sales in the places that make sense for you.
Right.
And I'm going to say, that's going to be a little further outside of the city of Atlanta, definitely outside of Fulton County.
Absolutely.
Get out
that
of
one I
Fulton
know.
County fast because they are. It is just way too much competition. But I highly recommend it. Get you at least 2 or 3. Just to test it out. You can't lose.
Right.
Either you're going to get your money back plus 20%, or you're going to be able to keep the property. Either or, you can't lose, and you'll get a feel for what it feels like to get out here and get a good deal. And it's just a good way to get started. My first tax property was $5,000,
Okay.
and for me that was like, I'm not going to say buying a bag but I am out of that. I am out of that mindset, and it felt really good. So to see it go from being a bag money to an entire house,
Right.
just changed my mindset continues to shift. So at least start there.
Shift
Cool.
the Chanel to
Thank
tax
you.
sales, huh?
Yes, baby, shifting Chanel to tax sales.
I like that. I
Bags
like
the bricks.
that. Bags the bricks. All right, so we're gonna wrap this episode up. Let's hit them with the final question.
All right, so our final question for you is, we got to give the people a rant about your industry, and you got to give them a gem. You done dropped so many gems, but I think you got one
Tons of
more
gems.
for us, but
You got-
you
you
ain't
got-
really give
but
us
you got a
enough of a
rant,
headache.
too. We wanna hear
you
a
ain't give
rant.
us no headache, and I know it's headache in it. It got to be. You give us a rant.
Let's see, a rant. I want to be a real estate investor, but without putting in the work.
Talk on it, please.
Talk heavy on it. We just talked about that in our last
Please.
episode.
Right.
Goodness.
So oftentimes people see the freedom, they see the mobility, but they don't see the work that goes, into it, right? So it's, finding the property, putting the project together, coordinating with the team. People see, it's just passive income, but you have to be willing to put the work. Or the people that just want to invest or become, in real estate, want to buy properties without taking time to actually learn the steps to invest, right? Without, people want to be compensated before education. So I always say education before compensation. So, hey, I just want to get in real estate. I got this money. I got $10,000, $20,000. What can I do? I want to go ahead and get into real estate. Slow down. Let's get some education first, then the compensation will come.
I love that. I love that. What's
I
the gem?
love it.
That was kind of a combination.
That was a combination.
That was a combination.
But
That was a
it was,
combo,
That,
two
that
piece
was a
and a
rant. That was a two-piece.
Yeah.
The rant was
Yeah. Woo.
educate yourself first.
Yeah.
The gym is the compensation comes after.
Right.
Loved
right. Yeah. You
Yeah,
did
I like
it.
it.
That was a two-piece.
Right.
In
Yeah.
my Rashad voice, there you have it.
There you have it then.
There you have it. Look, this has been a phenomenal episode. How can they follow you, Doug? Tell them everything that
Yep.
they need to know to get in contact with
Yep.
you,
So you can follow me at Doug Depte. I'll spell the last name. A lot of people butcher it. It's like the abbreviation for department with the E at the end. So it's DEP like Peter, T like Tom, E like Eddie. So Doug, DOUG, Depte. You could also go to Execute with Doug if you want to tap into my team to kind of talk about different programs that I have available for you if you're looking to further your real estate career, to see if you're a good fit or if that we're a good fit. But really it just comes down to just executing and just making up your mind to put in the work so that we can have that freedom of mobility if that's what you choose.
I love it.
I love the way he said that. If that's what you choose, like you don't want to choose to be free.
Yeah, but people
No,
ain't
I get
choosing
it.
though.
Some people
They
are
ain't
choosing.
choosing.
Hey, some people want to hug the cubicle till they're 67 and a half.
Or
And
if
you
it's
know
free,
what?
it's for me.
And it's
They don't
okay.
want to pay for their education.
But definitely, you got to pay to play.
You got to pay
Education
to
is very important, and execution is even more important. And having a good plan and a good strategy, I can tell you just from experience, I'd much rather be a part of a group and pay some money than to pay the money out of my own pockets and still lose when it comes to real estate investing, because
That's a
it is
fact.
not easy. And having someone kind of show you the ropes is going to always be easier for you, because the entire reason we have the Rants and Jim show is to make it easy for people that are coming behind us. Like, we want to make sure it's going to be easier for you because it was harder for us.
Facts.
So everybody we're bringing on this stage, everyone we're bringing onto the show, we're giving you information to make it easier for you, so that way you can glide into generational wealth and not stumble and fumble.
Not stumble and fumble. Well, look, this was a dope episode, Doug. We appreciate you coming on board,
Appreciate
man. A
you
lot of gems right here. So we're going to end this one right here, man. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe. Listen to the damn thing on audio, please. Let's make Rants and Gems the #1 real estate show in the world. All right, my name is Matt Garland, NMLS number 58700, better known as MG the Mortgage Guy.
And my name is Quiana Watson, real estate broker extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire.
In the Metro Atlanta area, license number 317576. Thank you so much for tuning into the Rants and Jim show.
Peace.